What up? What up? Whoa, you already know what time it is. Your boy, man, Miss Low, to the one that needs to bag no boss. All we ever did was give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way in a real way for us players to play and parlay this great game that we got for y'all today. And I got my right hand with me as usual. WI in the
Yeah.
building.
What up? What up? What up?
Salute to the real ones. Give it real something on building. What's happening, player?
I can't call it slow motion. Slow motion, but we still in motion regardless. So yeah,
You good though?
yeah man, yeah man.
How's the
Everything's on the.
temperature out there?
It's hotter than a fucking desert floor, but we still make do with what we got to. At the end of the day, you gotta go through it to get to it. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna get to it.
All right. Let's get to that. Let's get to that. So, Carmelo Anthony received some good news. He got a new dream team of attorneys that's going to take on this case.
Uh, okay, that's what's up.
I know people are like, he stabbed a guy, he was under the tent, he shouldn't have been there. But it's like the 1950s, and we surely can't just take the case cut and dry like that.
Hmm.
He was a student with a good GPA, never been arrested before,
Right.
and he got a severe punishment without a jury of his peers. Nobody that looked like him of his color was on the jury pool. So that's one of the reasons why this case can get overturned. And it
Right.
was crazy to me because I'm like, you see, that's exactly what it is. They tried to set him up and make him take the fall quick, and
Right.
sweep it under the rug before it became national news.
Exactly.
But it became mainstream news quick because of social media. People like us that speak on it, bring it to the general public on a mass scale.
That forces the system to reevaluate whatever they're doing. Because obviously, they can't get away with everything. Not when the whole population, the whole country, the whole world is paying attention. You can't just try to pull no quick ones.
Exactly. So now we're gonna see the details of this whole unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
Now bear with me. Fair use. It's from
Fair use.
Undisputable Dr. Rashad Ritchie, and he's breaking it down in the real way. That became the headline
Let's
in
get it.
the Carmelo Anthony trial, which was the fact that no black jury member was seated. It's the very thing that can possibly get his conviction overturned. I talked to you about this on day one. His attorney, to his credit. Now, in my opinion, he did not do a great job trying this case. But to his credit, he did object to the jury racial makeup, which preserved the error or potential error for an appeal. And that's where we're headed. All right, these are the facts. According to Atlanta Black Star, the Texas jury that sentenced Carmelo Anthony to 35 years in prison this month did not include a single black member on the jury. Even though the initial jury pool was made up of almost 600 residents of Collin County, where you have more than 10% of the residents are black, and that judicial decision is where Anthony stands the best chance to successfully appeal this conviction according to legal experts interviewed directly by Atlanta Black Star. Now, remember, in an appeal has to remedy an error. The error, 9 times out of 10, cannot simply be an error noted. It must be an error that your defense attorney has objected to. And if there's no objection to the judicial error, you may not have the opportunity to preserve that issue for an appeal. So a lot of things are technically appeal worthy, but if the defense attorney did not say objection, Your Honor, it doesn't preserve the appeal later. All right. So this is a different scenario. The attorney did object. Quote, I know during jury selection, the district attorney struck 3 qualified Black jurors. Said Alexis Holt Fajur, a criminal law professor at Brooklyn Law School and a nationally recognized expert on race and the criminal legal system. And what I mean by 3 qualified Black jurors is these were jurors who indicated they could view the evidence impartially. Now, when jury selection takes place, every attorney worth their weight will tell you win or lose the case based on the jury. Okay, if you're a real trial lawyer, you know you win or lose the case based on the makeup of the jury. They did preemptive strikes of the Black jury members because the prosecutor did not want school teachers or educators to be on the jury. There's more. But the 3 Black jury members were rejected because they were educators, which prosecutors argued would make them too biased to serve as qualified jurors in a case stemming from an altercation between 2 high school students on school grounds. The initial jury pool consisted of 589 prospective jurors, which was narrowed to about 250, then to 18 final jurors, including 12 seated and 6 alternatives. So I want you to understand the ridiculous logic of the prosecutor. Prosecutor says because they happen to be educators, they do not have the ability to impartially weigh the evidence. That makes 0 sense. 0 sense. They're not educators at the school that either individual, in this case, went to. They don't have a connection to the victim who's deceased, nor the alleged defendant. They do not have a connection to the school itself. And somehow they would not be able to impartially weigh the evidence. There's no logic to it. The only logic would be if you can prove that they have some type of relationship to the case. That makes sense. But if you do that, it's no longer a preemptive strike. It has to be a strike done based on the merit of each individual and their ability to impartially weigh the evidence. It is unconstitutional to reject jurors based on race, ethnicity, or gender, which is why prosecutors base their rejection of the Black women on their occupations and nothing else. However, if it turns out that other non-Black jurors were also educators, that would provide young Mr. Anthony with a solid argument to present to the appellate court, as according to the legal expert. Quote, I haven't read the transcript, but if any of those 18 people are educators and said they were educators, we know that wasn't a race-neutral decision. That was just pretext. End quote. She said, in every state except one, prosecutors and defense attorneys are allowed to reject jurors through preemptory strikes, which means they do not have to give a reason as long as it is not explicitly based on race, ethnicity, or gender. Opposing attorneys can challenge the strikes, which then requires them to provide a reason for striking members of the jury preemptively. In this case, the reason was, well, they happen to be school teachers, they're educators. Anthony's lawyer objected under a passive challenge, which was proper to do, arguing that the prosecutors or the prosecution's preemptory strikes against the 3 Black women were unconstitutional, racial discrimination. But the judge rejected the challenge. Okay, so be it. The judge rejected the challenge. I think the challenge was proper, and I believe the preemptive striking of those Black women was racially motivated, not because you have individuals who will look at this case with a more sympathetic lens to Mr. Anthony. That is not your legal reason. That is not your moral reason, and that is not your ethical reason. The reason is because all evidence must be weighed through context. All evidence must be weighed through context. A jury member must weigh the evidence based on their personal and professional experiences, exposures, and environment. So context matters. And in this country, your racial makeup creates context. So you may have a different, better, deeper understanding of cultural nuances that others may not. Context matters. This is about fairness. This is still about impartiality. There's more. Had the trial taken place in Arizona, where a preemptive strike is not allowed, prosecutors would have had a much harder time rejecting those 3 Black educators because the state Supreme Court abolished the damn practice. Why did they abolish the practice? They abolished the practice because they found that prosecutors were using preemptive strikes to work around the anti-discrimination rule. That's why. Texas, however, has not banned it, which made it permissible. The defense attorney objected. That means attorneys in Arizona must use concrete, case-specific reasons to reject members or potential members of a jury because the burden is much higher. In Anthony's trial, at least one potential Black juror was rejected because he stated he would, quote, have a hard time putting a brother in jail. He has to be rejected. He has to be rejected. In fairness, he has to be rejected, which would be allowed in Arizona because that would be evidence that the jury cannot render a fair and impartial verdict according to the state Supreme Court ruling in 2021. No argument with that one. But that was not the case for the 3 Black women who were rejected. So they would have had a much better chance of being selected at the trial taking place in Arizona, possibly changing the outcome. Quote, if the Karmelo Anthony case had been tried in Arizona, a judge probably would have denied the prosecution's attempt to strike those jurors. And those jurors would likely have served, said Benjamin Taylor, civil rights criminal defense attorney from Arizona, who has represented multiple Black plaintiffs over the years. And you have to ask the question, what is the judge afraid of? What is the judge afraid of? Okay, judge, this is a gray area. Many states have outlawed the practice, period. It's a high-profile trial. The prosecution is requesting a preemptive strike based on industry. And there's no reason that a school teacher must be impartial. You run the same risk of a school teacher being more sympathetic to the victim than to the defendant because they're school teachers. unless you're calculating that a black school teacher would only be impartial to Mr. Anthony. Now, if the judge is making that calculation, that means the judge is engaged in discrimination. That's what that means. So now you have an objection on record, you have an appealable action because of this rule. What is the judge afraid of? Once again, judge, if you don't grant the preemptive, you can still allow the prosecutor to make a case-by-case argument on the direct reason why these individuals cannot serve this jury impartially. If for some reason their profession disqualifies them, that means that the prosecutor should be able to make a case specific to why they should be disqualified. But he did not have to because the judge granted motion. Taylor, who's been practicing law in Arizona since 2005 and is the first black president of the state bar of Arizona, also believes Anthony stands a good chance of successfully appealing the case because black jurors were excluded. Quote, on his face, it looks suspicious. These jurors were educators. They reportedly said they could be fair and impartial, and yet they were struck. He said he also believes Anthony received a much harsher sentence than other defendants in similar situations. As Atlanta Black Star has noted, quote, 35 years is the type of sentence you might expect for someone with prior felony convictions or a long record, maybe someone older, he said. And I want to add a note to that. 35 years for a murder conviction is typically because someone does have a lengthy record and they engaged in premeditated murder, premeditated malice. There's nothing about this that's premeditated, but there are individuals who are serving sentences lighter than Mr. Anthony for premeditated murder. They will be out prior to Mr. Anthony. They would never receive even in a max out of the sentence 35 years. Never would happen. There's more. So, by contrast, from what we know, this appears to be Karmelo Anthony's first serious offense. He's relatively young. Taylor continued. Given that 35 years seems extremely harsh, the appellate court will be looking at whether the trial and sentencing were conducted properly. And if that sentence is consistent with how similar cases are handled across Texas and even nationally, he added, Anthony's defense team chose to be sentenced by the jury instead of the judge, which is allowed in Texas, likely believing the jury would have more sympathy. Sympathy. Now, let's zone back out. Once again, this attorney did not do a great job representing Mr. Anthony. Maybe because he believed in the criminal justice system in a way that would be akin to a young white male rather than a young black male. He believed that the jury who just convicted his client would be more sympathetic to the client than the judge would be. That was the call of the defense attorney. There's more. But under Texas law, that decision must be made before the jury is selected, so it's likely his defense team expected at least one black member of the jury. Quote, if they had been allowed to serve, they could have made a difference in the guilt or innocence phase, and at the very least, in the sentencing phase, Taylor said. Quote, if you have black jurors who are more sympathetic to and understanding of Karmelo Anthony's life and background, they might have pushed back on a 35-year sentence, Taylor explained. They could have argued for something closer to what similarly situated defendants received in Texas, or at least brought it up in the conversation. So now you have an appealable issue that was objected to, properly preserved by the defense attorney. Now, it is my hope and it is my recommendation that he is not involved as a leader in the appellate process at all. Appellate law is a completely different kind of law. Money is being raised now. Many outlets are raising money for this defense. I encourage you to vet any of those outlets before contributing. Some have estimated to get started is going to be well over 100,000. Some say 500,000 for the trial, up to 1 million if it goes as far as it goes. That's your update. There's a cop decided to hide key evidence. Man gets convicted of murder. He's caught.
So what you think about that, Jack? I mean, come on now. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You get judged too severely, too harshly. And then
Without a single black juror to have some kind of empathy towards the man, like with all
well, that's what I'm
factors
saying.
considered.
That's what I'm saying. 35 years is a hefty sentence.
For a first timer,
And they know that. So they want to bury him, you know what I mean?
right?
So we're gonna give him the harshest sentence if they come back on appeal, because they probably already thought that in their head. He still is gonna get something in between there,
Right.
which is kind of messed up because it was a self-defense case. So
Exactly. They're trying to, and they kind of xed out the factor of it not being
To
murder or manslaughter or premeditated. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they don't even consider none of these factors. Like they're
man,
just
Hunter told Carmelo to look
nah
at
nah. We're
him
gonna
and
give him
he talking to him.
throw the book at him,
It's
so to
that
speak.
shit.
You know, like some
mhm.
completely unfair practices that they're exercising over there, and
In Texas, bro.
they know it too. That's the thing. They know what they're doing. They're not even.
Oh
But
hell
this is
no, that's just calculated.
yeah, exactly.
This is well calculated, and it's dirty because it's like we gotta act like it's not and go against. You know, you gotta go against the math. The math ain't mathing. Like,
Yeah, what's that? They need what's his name? Joe Mathis, Judge Joe Mathis.
yeah, he'd be like, "What the fuck?
You're
This is some bullshit." Yeah, I know this is some bullshit, right?
what y'all say.
Uh, Put Judge Joe Mathis up there. Tell him come out of retirement. This young boy is not a criminal. You know he's gonna give him the real right.
The turning points.
So this is a new dream team attorney that he got.
One of the turning points. I was there to show up to pray. I was hoping we could show the world this wasn't a racial divide thing, that we could kind of close the gap instead of widening it. But at that point, they'd obviously retained the services of Dominic Alexander, a convicted baby shaking felon advocate who decided to throw me out of the press conference, have me removed by police, and then proceeded to gaslight me and tell me how I was such, I can't remember the word he used, but that I shouldn't have been there, and it was not dignified to my son or myself, which I really couldn't quite understand as they proceeded to gaslight me, and also took There was a young lady who has followed the case also from the entire town. Her name is Sarah Fields. Uh, Also showed information about her. That's when
Sarah
they took it
Fields.
from a
Jeez.
top of remorse, which they did not show, to the fact of
All right, what's up with it, y'all? So look, I'm back again with another video right now. Listen, Carmelo Anthony has some great news right now. Basically, he has a full legal team right now, and they are saying that these people are a powerhouse. So hey, we finna see what the hell is finna go on with this whole situation. And I do want to say, man, a lot of people are saying a lot of different things about this whole situation, but I do want to say we just don't know what's about to happen. So to take somebody's word is something that you shouldn't do right now if they're telling you that they know what is about to happen in this situation. But basically, before I get into any of that, I got this bonus going on that's going to be going on for the rest of the week for the sweepstakes on the 2026 Chevy Track. So if you want to take a chance at winning this vehicle, all you got to do is click that link, scroll to the bottom of that website, get you some entries. They will be emailed to you immediately, and you will be entered into the sweepstakes that ends August 1st at 4 p.m. Texas time. And I'm in Dallas, so you can get the time zone and be here on time. So yeah, make sure y'all go get your entries if you want to join. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I got a 2026 Chevy Track still in the plastic, still brand new, and I have the title and keys in hand. So once you win this vehicle, it's yours right out, no strings attached. So all you gotta do is click that link. And yeah, I'll see y'all August 1st at 4 p.m. Texas time. Other than that, let's move back into the Carmelo Anthony situation. Now, with this Carmelo Anthony situation, a lot of evidence has came out, and a lot of people are saying a lot of different things. The father spoke out after all of this evidence came out. Now, the father of Austin, Jeff Metcalf, he spoke. Now, Carmelo Anthony's legal team basically, I'm gonna put pictures of everybody on here to show y'all. But basically, it says right now a team of leading appellate, civil rights, and criminal defense attorneys announced today that it has taken on. I'm reading this verbatim, so hey, if there's some grammatical issues, then don't get mad at me. But basically, it says that the attorneys announced today that it has taken on the case of Carmelo Anthony, who was recently sentenced to 35 years following the murder conviction in the death of Austin Metcalf. The team, serving pro bono, will review the trial records and pursue all available avenues to appeal. Now, y'all remember that he did file for an appeal immediately after he was sentenced, right? So they're taking this pro bono. For those who don't know what that means, they finna do this shit for free. Now they know that this is a good chess move, and I don't feel like this many people would jump on board if they didn't know something. But at the same time, people do certain things to get notoriety and stuff like that. But I'm not here to put that on anyone and say that that's the case. I just look at shit unbiasedly and I look at it on both sides of the fence. But I do want to say, hey, for these people to do that for him, that's a win for him and his family. Now it says that Russell Wilson, Law Office of Russell Wilson II, Gary Bledsoe, the Bledsoe Law Firm. Who else? Michael L. Ware, the Law Office of Michael Ware, Brooke Clues, I think that's how you pronounce it, Ben Crump, Sean Derrida. Shit, they got some names on them because the Derrida Law Firm and Justin A. Moore, Stanford Moore. What is it says? Our appellate team has been retained following the conviction to conduct a fresh independent review of the trial records. It says we recognize the profound loss suffered by one of the young men's family and the uncertainty facing another. And we extend our respect to everyone whose lives have forever been changed by the events. Our responsibility is to determine whether a legal error occurred and to ensure that every issue supported by the record is fully and vigorously presented on appeal. The appellate process exists for precisely this purpose. So they're basically just saying, shit, we just doing our job. You know what I'm saying? So hey, it is what it is. But I do want to say, man, it is a loss for both sides. It is a loss, especially with losing a child. I'm not here to say what's right and what's wrong if I can't hear or know what the hell was going on up under that tent. Here, I had somebody say, last night they think that I'm scared to lose supporters. That's why I'm not like going after the Jeff Metcalf family and why I'm not going after Carmelo and all this other type of shit. You know, when you're reporting on things, you got to remove your feelings and shit like that and give people what they're looking for. They want to know information that don't be giving a damn about what you feel in a lot of different cases. Even though my supporters want to know what's up with me, but I've been posting nothing but Carmelo content. So come on now. At the same time, you know, nobody wants to lose a champion. So, you know, hey, it is what it is. And I definitely don't think that
See,
things should escalate
that's where
what you can't
I
take away from
understand,
that
you know, and I
situation.
sympathize.
So I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and
But
see what the father had to
the
say for
problem is with that.
and we're gonna talk about this in the comment section. Do y'all feel like that this will be something that will benefit him? Do y'all feel like that he will be
The problem is with that is if the tables were turned, do you think the white dad will be remorseful
Hmm.
that his son got convicted for killing a black man? Or you know what I'm saying? But it probably wouldn't even go down like that. So I get it. You know?
Nah, big facts.
And then you want to tell us that gotta look at it from both sides. Yeah, I look at it from both. I look at it from both sides.
It's them who's not looking at it from both sides.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. He killed your son. But do you think the kid that's never been in trouble before or some could have acted out of character in that instance? You know? As a
Hmm.
father in the case. Why would you like make the kid out to be like public enemy number one? He's still a kid and he still lost his life. Not completely as your son's, but it's like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's just tragedy all the way around. And I feel like they're making it a more of a political spectacle than anything else. Let's continue.
able to get the appeal process going? Let me know your thoughts and opinions, man. You know, we're gonna talk about everything in the comments. I'll holler at y'all later on another video as well. Infections in TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Nothing on my skin means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Austin Metcalf's dad, Jeff Metcalf, joins me now here in Dallas. Jeff, thanks for being with us here today. Thank you, Will. Thanks for having me. You know, I think I'd love to just start this conversation with some of what I just shared with the audience. This is not new to you. I'm sure you've seen the video and heard the 911 call. I did notice you took your preset. You didn't want to hear that audio again of the 911 call. Correct. Just too hard to hear it again and see this video. And there's another body cam footage that hasn't been released. It has some pretty graphic details, and I could hear my son screaming. It's something I don't really want to care to listen to again. Totally understandable. What, with this video's release, Jeff, do you hope the public can see about this moment? Well, I mean,
Hello? Yellow? Yo, Yep. Yep. What happened? I think it's because he's getting too political. Not trying to promote that, eh? So they're messing with the connection. Oh boy. Yep. Yep. So this is what happens, Sometimes when you have a positive message or anything that goes against, whatever their agenda is, they start messing with your signal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how it is, folks. Very difficult times in these worlds, man. Doing the right thing is frowned upon, or sending a message of equality. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't want the world to hear that. It goes against their agenda. So it's like, nah, nah, nah. You guys don't get no airtime. Sorry, we're scrambling your signals. Scramble that. Anyways, bottom line, Carmelo Anthony, he's been done dirty, and they expect the people to not fight against it. But now the man's in a position where, yo,
Yep.
hello, okay, you're back.
Yep.
Okay, what happened?
Where you couldn't hear it?
Nah,
Couldn't hear anything?
at all, at all.
Did you hear him finish his speech or whatever?
Nah, I didn't get to hear it. But that's what I was just explaining. When you have a certain message, and it goes
This is what
against
he
their
said.
agenda. Okay, let's go.
For him to have all the accolades and the thing and where he was going, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he was playing D1 football. But, let's just go a step forward. Maybe there's that 1% chance he does get to the NFL. I'm maybe biased because he's my son, but he had the numbers, the stats, and the size. So the possibility does exist. I don't know about the probability, but the possibility surely existed. Well, I'm sorry for all that you and your family have been through, and you and I've spoken, and I know you're continuing to go through it. I know you're getting a lot that is completely undeserved and unfortunate out there. So you continue to, but I appreciate you
Some
sharing with
people
us.
watermelon felons.
About Austin. Well, that's one thing. All in, and this is one of the things that people understand. That we did all the time was this. And this is sign language for "I love you." And if you ever see my boys, where that was kind of like, their thing to tell me, hey, man, I'm thinking about you. I love you. And I just want the world to understand, it all starts with you and it all starts at home. So as a parent, do your best by your kids. Doesn't mean they're going to turn out right or wrong. It doesn't guarantee that they will live or die. But I do believe if you instill your moral values and a moral compass, I think our society is going the wrong direction right now. And Us as parents are the only ones that are able to change this because our kids are the future. And what does our future look like with what we're teaching them right now that is acceptable? Jeff Metcalf, thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
So you see, he's saying that the black parents taught thing wrong, you know, and they're part of the reason why the moral fabric of the country is getting worse. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's like you're being deceptive, kind of,
Right.
because his son was walking towards Carmelo, trying to kick him out because he was under attack. Come on. He's probably talking to some girl or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can't be here. Trying to embarrass the man, huh? Some shit like that happened. I'm pretty sure. What do you think?
Ah, man. No, I agree. You could tell like they're trying to paint the narrative of okay, their child was one of the one with the bright future, and then with the low key subliminals about oh, I know that you can't, not all kids are gonna be da 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 this and that. Trying to send subliminals within it.
Yeah. See, I don't like the way society's going right now. Like, what is that supposed to mean? So black folks ain't teaching these kids right. And he said, we don't see color. That's another racist one. Racist trope. We don't see color here.
Just the way that was said, like you say, oh, okay, you got a little bit of racism in you. I will say this though, I'm glad that they're giving the man a next lawyer. It's like
It
you,
seems like Jim Jones wants to buy yeah, Mac Mizzle up in the spizzle. What's happening? Dave Nash wants to buy Jim Jones building.
oh yeah,
Yeah, because you see how he
See how Jim Jones put all kind of work into it, set it
Yeah,
up nice.
that's because they're beefing, right?
And that's the
Jim
flex
Jones brought
right
some
there.
goons over to where he was at back in the day, and they were beefing to fight to fight Dame Dash because Jimmy didn't want to fight him himself. That's some retarded shit. So now this how Jim Jones is getting him back. I mean, Dame Dash. He said you want to buy the IFC building.
Jeez.
Uh,
See, that's the flex right there. Buying buildings and things. Yo, I'm about to go cop that
and he
building
do
on the
that on
corner
some
of
petty ass shit, boy. But I think he can do it. I think he'll pull it out because he wants to do his country club thing. Since he filed for bankruptcy, he has no more debt. But he's trying to do his country club thing. Now it's like $10 million in the hole.
oh, that ain't no joke.
You know, he finagled his way to where he need to go. I guess. I mean, shit. That's Dame Dash we're talking about. Uh, I don't know if the allegations are true, but just for the fact that if you beef with somebody, you could buy their whole thing is hilarious to me. Huh? Like, yo, I'm gonna buy your building, dog. You want beef? I'll buy your building.
Nah, that's a different kind of flex right there. That's different for sure.
I'll buy it and raise the rent. Jim Jones.
That's a real investment right
So this is him talking. Oh, oh, there's just something wrong with the connection. Yeah, but the same landlord that tried to sell it to 50 was on the phone with Dave Nash. So you know the landlord's a sleazeball. You know what I'm saying? You know one of those sleazy landlords? They got money and he just wants to be in the mix. You fuck with Jim Jones because Jim Jones has a 5-year lease, you know? When you get a commercial building, you get a 5-year lease at least. Right? Right? There you go. Well, that's my cue. acting up. So we gotta pack this up, and I'm gonna get y'all on another episode of the Mac Mizzle Show
Yes,
tomorrow.
sir.